Today we're going to be talking about how important is it to be a man? Or actually we could say how important is it to be a woman if you're a woman? How important is it to have aspects of masculinity and femininity and to identify with the one that you are? My name is John Sanmez and I am the founder of BulldogMindset.com, and on this channel we talk about having the Bulldog mindset, which is the opposite of the victim mindset, and I help you to transition from the victim mindset to that Bulldog mindset. A lot of Stoic philosophy, a lot of fitness, a lot of mindset type of related topics. So let me read you this question, and I'm going to give you my quick answer that I commented on this, and then I'm going to give you a more in-depth answer here. So Paul Klein said, serious question. How important is it to be a, quote, man? Is it not more important to simply be a person, a good person? Does masculinity and femininity really actually matter? You mentioned courage as being a masculine trait. Is that not also a trait just as important for women? Is it less important for women to be courageous? So there's a lot of questions in here, and they're good questions, okay? Actually, I forgot. I'm supposed to give you the response that I gave this guy on the comment. And I said, my simple response, my comment was, it is important to be what you are. And that's really where I want to start by talking about this. It's talking about how it's not about being a man, it's not about being a woman, okay? It's important to be what you are in life, okay? And if you are a man, okay, if you're biologically a man, if you have the soul and the spirit of a man, and the biological needs of a man, and the psychology of a man, okay, and the heritage of a man, and you're not living as a man, you will feel inadequate. I did a video a while back. I'm going to reference a lot of videos and books in this because this is a complex topic. But I know as a man, and coaching lots of men, especially young men and boys becoming men, that if those three elements are missing, you will feel incomplete for the most part as a man. Okay? Those are there's probably more to that list, like little pieces, but those are the three core things that I have identified within myself and within other men. Okay? Again, feel free to disagree about this, but you're wrong. I don't mean to but I'm telling you, you're wrong. Like, you need to understand that this is the truth, okay? This is a fundamental truth. You can hide this and you can deny it and you can bullshit yourself and you can bullshit everyone, and society can fucking bullshit you about this. But if you're missing those three elements in your life as a man, you're not going to feel like a man. And so that's why I say it's important to be what you are. And we could extend this, I'm talking to men because I'm a man, okay? I can't really talk a lot of these subjects to women because I don't know. I don't know what it's like to be a woman. But I would say that the same would apply. That there's a certain set of things that makes you feel like a woman if you're a woman, and you have to have those things. Otherwise, you're gonna feel like you're not a woman. You're not what you are, right? It's very important to be what you are. So that's where I would start with that. So if you're a man, it's going to be really important for you to learn how to be a man. It's going to affect a lot of your life. It's going to affect how comfortable you feel in your skin, okay? Now, if you guys have followed me on my journey and whatnot, and I think I talked about in the video on becoming a man, the process for becoming a man, I didn't reach that really feeling like I had reached what I would call manhood until my 30s, okay? Now, that's a problem, all right? There was definitely, areas of my life that were not, I was not living up to my potential. I felt insecurities. I felt that I was not complete and whole. Right now, I have a lot better perspective. I know who I am, okay? I'm secure in who I am. No one else has to tell me. I'm much more confident. There's so many things about my life that's better because I've stepped into my role, because I know what it is like to be a man and to accept that and to be that, okay? So being who you are is really, really important, okay? It's not about are men or women better or masculinity and all this kind of bullshit that society has kind of put on us. It's that, look, if you're a man, you need to be a man, okay? Now, there's some spectrum to that, sure, I'll grant that, and there's, different kinds of sexual orientations and stuff like that. I'll grant that, that's fine. But if you at your core are a man, have a masculine core, right, then you need to embrace that, and you need to become that, and you need to live that, or you're not going to be happy. And it's not necessarily happiness. You're not going to be fulfilled. You're not going to feel like you are being what you are, right? We're designed in some way. Now, what about this idea as he says, is it not more important to simply be a person, a good person? So here's the thing. I'm going to actually turn this over to Jack Donovan, and I want you to read The Way of Men. In fact, read all of his fucking books because they're good. But read The Way of Men. I've got a review on The Way of Men as well. In that book, In the Way of Men, Jack Donovan says it better than I can tell you here. But he says basically that being a good man and being a man are two different things, right? And he uses examples like Darth Vader and villains that are even like he even uses like terrorists, right? Like the plane hijackers from the 9/11, right? Like these were men. They sacrificed their they're not good men, but they were men. Like try and call them not a man or Scarface, Godfather. Like you've got these characters that are to some degree we would call them evil characters. They don't perhaps think of themselves as evil, but they're men. Right? They are definitely men. And so there's two things going on here, right? One is like living your role, being who you are, right? Being a man. And as a man, there's definitely some reason, which we've talked about earlier in this video, for being a man. There's definitely a valid, argument for being what you are and being that. So there's the role. But then there's a separate issue of being a good person or not, right? And to some degree, I would say that it's not so important to be a good person. Who told you need to be fucking nice and be good? Now, to be a decent human being, right? Someone who has, I would say that, again, being good, I don't want to be good, but I want to be someone who has honor, who has valor, who is respectable, right? Who is able to exercise their will, who has discipline, right? Don't take society's definition of what is good and what is nice and decide that you need to be that. Otherwise, you can be too fucking polite of a nice guy, okay? And you're going to get stomped on, and you're going to get walked over, and you're going to get your heart broken, and you're going to wonder why people fucking abuse you, and it's because you let them. Okay, there's no honor in being fucking nice or being a, quote, good person. But there is honor in living up to the standard that you set for yourself and deciding what it is you want to be, right? For me, like I said, I want to be self-disciplined, okay? I think that discipline is important. I want to be powerful in my own regard, free. I'd call it freedom, my ability to exercise my will upon this world and myself, okay? Those are important attributes to me. I want to be what I would consider honorable, okay? Which we've lost a lot of the definition of what that means. But to me, that means something. That means that if I tell you something, you can count on that. That I can be trusted. That my word means something, and that that I'm going to come through. I want to be courageous, right? I could describe all these things that I want to be, but you need to describe for yourself what you want to be, right? And as a man, those are going to be a lot of masculine traits, right? When you really examine in your heart of hearts, who do you want to be? What do you want to be? What kind of value system do you have? Most people haven't even thought about this. They just go with the society's stupid definition of good and nice and be nice, right? To say that, in fact, what do we tell kids all the time? Oh, that's not nice. Well, fuck that. I don't want to be nice. Fuck you, right? Like that should be the response that our 4-year-old gives us, but they don't, because we beat them down and condition them to be fucking nice, like everyone else, too super polite. Where should we eat? I don't know. Where do you guys want to eat? Fuck you, we're going to Baskin Robbins. I don't know why I said Baskin Robbins, so we're going to eat for dinner. Baskin Robbins. All right, so anyway, I hope you get it. Does that make sense? All right, so let's move on a little bit here. Does masculinity and femininity really actually matter? Yes. Okay, there's a lot of reasons for this. I'm going to defer to David Data on this one, on The Way of the Superior Man. Get that book. Actually, the audio version is out now. That before he had like a weird version, but you can listen to that. I'd encourage you to just get a paper version and then highlight the fuck out of that and read it 15 times if you're a man, because you will understand why masculine and femininity matter. They matter for polarity. Okay, you're not going to have sexual attraction between two North Pole magnets. It's going to be north and the south. You got to have that if you want to have that. Otherwise, you're just going to have dull, relationship. You're not going to have that spark. You're not going to have that passion. Then it will die out and it will fizzle. You have to have that. You have to have one person being masculine, one person being feminine. Opposites come together, attract. Okay? If you want to have that charge and that energy and that spark and that zest for life, you need to have that polarization, and it's going to affect you in a lot of ways. If you're a very masculine man, you're going to be lit up, you're going to be inspired, you're going to have a lot of attributes that are going to cause you to have the drive that you need to succeed in life and to take life by the fucking horns, and you're going to feel that vitality of life. Okay, I can't speak what it's like to be a woman, but it's the same type of thing, right? Masculine energy is very much about presence, about being a rock. It's about being a force that drives through obstacles. Feminine presence is more about experiencing life, about the environment, about feeling things, being in touch with the emotion, being more concerned with the moment, with the now, than the future, and then analyzing what is happening, where a man would be. So again, I'm not going to go into too much depth here on all that, but it's important to study that. I turn you over to David Data, like I said, to give you some of that, and we'll talk about this in some other videos. If you have comments or questions, by the way, leave a comment or a question below here, and I'll try to get to it in some other videos. You mentioned courage is a masculine trait. Is that not also a trait important for women? Okay, so there's a lot of things. You have to understand something, okay? And this is going to be a long video, but I think it's worth it here. You have to understand something fundamental. We have all within us, all of us have both masculine and feminine traits, okay? We need to have both of those things. If you're 100% masculine, it's not going to work out for you, okay? You have to have some of the feminine traits as well. Some of the things I'm doing on this YouTube channel would be considered feminine traits. If I'm just masculine and I'm not doing I'm not expressing any kind of my femininity, okay, then I'm probably not teaching you shit. I'm just fucking slapping you around, right? The fact that I'm sitting here and I'm talking to you and trying to aid you and assist you is more of a feminine trait. Honestly, it is, right? It's not the masculine trait of blasting through obstacles, okay? Now I'm doing this in a masculine way because I'm trying to spur you to change and make you understand this, and this is my way of doing it. But you have to understand that we've got both of these, okay? One is dominant. If you're a man, if you're masculine, that should be the dominant. If you're a woman and feminine, that should be the dominant. But they're going to have different attributes, right? And they're going to apply in different places, right? In the workforce, in general, right? Out in the world of entrepreneurs and business and all that, masculine traits dominate. It's dominance versus submission. Being aggressive, being assertive, okay? Being the kind of person that plows through obstacles, being non-agreeable, right? A lot of these things, being courageous, are rewarded in that arena, okay? And they're essential. And a lot of women have to adopt these masculine traits in order to succeed in that area. Now, in other areas, feminine traits are going to be better and are going to be more suited for those type of things, okay? So we have to realize that just because courage is a masculine trait doesn't mean that women shouldn't have courage. It just means that it's more essential. A man without courage is not a man. A woman without courage is a woman still. You see what I'm saying? Like, a woman could utilize courage, and she should utilize courage, and it's a great tool for her to have, to be able to utilize to succeed in life, to succeed in business. Okay? But a man without courage is a fucking wuss. He's a wimp. He's shunned by other men and by women. He's weak. He's a coward. A woman without courage isn't necessarily, lifted up as, but she's not disrespected. It's not expected of her. It does not define her as a woman having courage, whereas courage is one of the defining traits of a man. A man without courage is someone that we shun. Both men and women shun that person. Whereas a woman without courage, we don't really care. We don't really care one way or another. If a woman demonstrates great courage, we applaud and we say, great, that's awesome. But we don't care if she doesn't necessarily have courage. We don't call a woman a coward because she doesn't have courage. I mean, think about this stuff, right? This isn't just society here. This is how we're biologically programmed. And even if it were just society, society is part of evolution as well. So there's either way, this is where we're at, and this is how things are, and you can sense some of the rightness or wrongness of these statements just by what your instinct says here. So hopefully that clears that up. Hopefully that makes sense here. Is it less important for women to be courageous? I just answered that. Yeah, it's much less important. We're not going to judge women because they're not courageous for the most part. Okay, now doing a despicably cowardly thing, we would judge anyone for, but we would still have our harshest judgment for a man or someone who professes to be a man when they act in a cowardly way, right? I mean, think of it this way, right? Think of it this way as like, the whole women and children first, right? If this ship is sinking. If a man pushed women and children out of the way to jump into the life raft, we would call him a coward and we would want his head. Okay, we would be like, fuck this guy, he deserves to die, right? This is kind of our judgment of that. If a woman grabbed her child and jumped in the life raft and pushed some guy out of the way to get in there, we wouldn't have the same reaction. We might say she's a little bit rude, but you see what I'm saying? Like, we wouldn't have that same reaction. So anyway, we're going a little bit off topic here. I hope that makes sense to you guys, right? It is important to be a man if you're a man. I think it's really important, and so much so that I have a whole playlist on becoming a man and masculinity, and I think that's a really important topic for today's youth today, especially. I'll probably do a whole series on this. Give me, guys, some questions that you have about being a man, about becoming a man, about the process of becoming a man. Like I said, watch the video that I created on this, but I get this a lot from guys, and I think it's important. I think it's that society is going to shun you for trying to be a man, but you need to figure out your way. You need to become a man. Again, Jack Donovan's books are really good on that subject. You can find, I think there's a new movement that is not the MGTOW movement and not necessarily, quote, the red pill, but is more about focus on just being a man. I think that's good. Elliot Holst is jumping on board on this as well, so I'm glad to see that as well. All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. If you haven't already, click the subscribe button, click the bell. Take the Bulldog quiz to figure out if you are a Bulldog. Let me see what you score. I'm curious about that. All right, I'll talk to you next time. Take care.